Hey there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM3 2.2 Extra Practice number 3 solutions on greatest common factor. This one's got a puzzle that goes with it. Let's check that out. So here's my puzzle worksheet. We have a riddle we're trying to solve. Where do tadpoles in the pawn shop come from? The idea here is we've got 3 columns. In each of these columns we have a set of polynomials. We're supposed to factor this into the product of its greatest monomial factor, that's like a single term, and another polynomial, so basically take out a common factor. And then we have to look down below and find an answer that matches what we just got. Once we find that, whatever letter that is, we're going to put it next to that number. But the numbers don't go in order. If you look down here, they're all over the place. So for example, if I do number 1 and I find that the answer is, I don't know, P, whatever, it's not, but let's say it was, then I would put P in the number 1 spot here, and I would keep going in that fashion. So let's go ahead and get moving on this one. So for all of these problems, we're just trying to take out a common factor. It looks like from the answers we don't have to really go any further and factor anything further after we've taken out the greatest common factor. So for number 1, we've got 3x squared plus 18x plus 9. So first I'm looking at numbers. Is there a number that goes into 3, 18, and 9? Well, 3, and that's the biggest number that goes into all 3 of those. So I'll take out a 3, and that'll leave me with just, if I divide everything by 3, that's going to be 1x squared plus 6x, 18 divided by 3, and then 9 divided by 3 gives me a plus 3 in there. Looking over at my answers, I have a 3 on the outside and all that stuff on the inside, and that's looking like it's choice A right here. So I'm going to put that in box number 1, which is over here, and I move on to the next problem. On this one, looking at my numbers, it looks like they're all even, so I can definitely take out a 2, and it looks like 2 is the biggest even number there. So 2 is going to be my GCF, my greatest common factor, and then that leaves behind an x squared. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so 5x plus 5x, and 12 divided by 2 gives me a plus 6 there. Now, it's important that I don't have to factor further because I actually could factor this a little bit further if I wanted to. But that's why they had to specify the product of its greatest factor and another polynomial. They didn't say factor completely. We're just doing this first step. So that matches up with answer choice O right here. So I'm putting in O in box number 2. For this polynomial, looking at my numbers, 7, 14, 35, those are all divisible by 7, and that's the biggest thing that goes into all of those. So we'll take out a 7. This will then be just 1x squared. 14 divided by 7, that is going to be a plus 2x. And then 35 over 7 gives me plus 5. So we have a 7 on the outside. These are at least, well, they're not sorted numerically, but the 7s do end up coming last. And between the 2 of them, it looks like E is the one I'm looking for. So that goes in blank number 3 over here. For this one, looking at my coefficients, I've got a 5, a 20, and a 10. 5 is the biggest number that goes into all 3 of those. So taking that out, that leaves me with x squared minus, let's see, 20 divided by 5 is 4, so minus 4x. 10 over 5 gives me a plus 2. So we have a 5 on the outside and a minus 4x and a 2. That's going to be F right here. And that's going in box number 4 way here at the beginning. Number 5 is a little bit unique. Up until now, the GCF that we've been taking out has been one of the 3 coefficients that they've given us. This time around, 6, 9, and 21, there's not any of those that go into all 3 of them. So we have to look at other factors. So 6, 9, and 21, those are all multiples of 3. 3 is the biggest number that I can divide into each of those. So I'll take out a 3. 6 divided by 3, that's going to be a 2x squared. 9 over 3 gives us a plus 3x. And negative 21 over 3, that's going to give us a negative 7. So we've got 3, 2x squared, 3x, negative 7. That looks like D, our first option. And that's going in box number 5 way here at the end. So we have the first letter and the last letter. So we've moved on to number 6. This is the second set of 5 problems. And you might have noticed that there's a few game changers going on here. For one thing, all the possible answers are new. So that's a bunch of other ones to consider. Also, if you look at all of these, each of them involve taking out a variable as at least part of the greatest common factor, part of the GCF. So we're now going to have to be starting to think about what can I take out in terms of variables. So let's look at number 6 now. In terms of coefficients, these are all coefficients of 1, so there's not much going on there. In terms of letters, though, these all have at least an n to the first power. So we can take out as much as the smallest one of them. So that in this case, that would be an n that we can take out of all 3 of those. If I divide all 3 of those by n cubed divided by n is n squared divided by n is a plus n, and n divided by n, of course, is 1. So then that gives us, it looks like, answer choice A, and that is going in box number 6. For this problem, the coefficients are all 1, so nothing to worry about there. In terms of variables, though, however, we have an n squared. These all have n's, and we have an n squared is the lowest out of all of them. So we can take out at least an n squared from every term here. N to the 4th divided by n squared. Remember, when we divide, we're subtracting the exponents. So 4 minus 2 gives us another n squared in there. And then negative n cubed divided by n squared. 3 minus 2 is 1, so that's negative n to the first power. And then n squared divided by itself gives us a plus 1. Looking to see where I have all of those things going on, that looks like answer choice O. So here we are, box number 7. For this problem, we have 2, -1, and -5 for coefficients. So we can't really do any better than a 1 for common factors there. But these do all have at least an n to the first power. So I can take an n out. So 2n cubed is now going to be 2n squared. Negative n squared divided by n, that's just negative n. And negative 5n divided by n, well, the n's basically cancel, so that's a negative 5. So let's look and see where we have 2n squared minus n minus 5 and an n outside. That looks like m right there. So option number 8, that's going to be an m. For this one, we only have 2 terms, so that narrows down some of the answer choices right off the bat. And looking at my coefficients first, I have a 3 and a 9. Those are both divisible by 3, so I'll take a 3 out. For the variables, we have an n squared and an n. We have at least n to the first power on each of those. So I can also take out an n as my GCF. So if I take 3n out of everything, 3n squared divided by 3n, 3's are canceling. N squared divided by n is just n. And then 9n divided by 3n. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and the n's cancel, so 3 is all that's left there. So that looks like we're going to end up with F right there, and that is going in spot number 9. On this problem, we have a 7n squared and a negative 28n. It's looking like those are both divisible by 7, so for the coefficients I can take that much out. And they also both have at least an n to give, so I'll take out a 7n. Dividing each of these now by 7n, 7n squared divided by 7n, that's going to be just n. Negative 28n divided by 7n, well, 28 divided by 7 is 4. N's cancel, so that's a minus 4 in there. So we have a 7n and an n minus 4. That's the r right here. We can put that in spot number 10. For this one, we have 4 and 32 for my coefficients. Those are both divisible by 4, so I'll take that out. We have a k cubed and a k. The most I can take out then is k to the first power. So if I take that out of my first term, 4's are canceling. K cubed divided by k, 3 minus 1 is giving me a k squared. And then 32 divided by 4, that's 8, so negative 8. K's cancel, so we have k squared minus 8 in there. And that's matching G right here, so that goes in spot 11. For these two, I've got a 6 and a 10 for my coefficients. Those are both even, so I can at least take a 2 out of both of those. For the variables, I've got a k squared as my smallest k exponent, so I can take a k squared out of both of these. 6 divided by 2 gives me a 3. 3 minus 2 here is a 1, so we've got a 3k to the first power. And then the k squareds cancel on these next ones, 10k squared divided by 2k squared. So it's really just 10 divided by 2, which gives us a plus 5. And it looks like that's going to be n right there. So put that in spot number 12. On this one, it looks like we've got coefficients that are all multiples of 5, so I'll take at least a 5 out. And each of these has at least a k to give. So there's another piece of my greatest common factor. So taking that out of each of them, 5k cubed divided by 5k. 5s are canceling. K cubed over k is just k squared. Next one, we have 15k squared over 5k. 15 divided by 5 is 3. K squared divided by k is k. So that's a plus 3k. And then 10k divided by 5k. K's cancel, so 10 over 5 gives me a plus 2. And that is R right there, one of the first ones. That goes in spot 13. And we are just 2 away from solving this puzzle. All right, on this one, we've got a 4, a 20, and a 4. We can take a 4 out of each of those. And in terms of letters, only the first 2 have K's. So this one was a little bit sneakier. You couldn't take a K out of this one. So moving through and just taking a 4 out then, that'll give us a k cubed for that first term. Negative 20 over 4 is a negative 5. K squared's along for the ride. And 4 divided by 4 is just a plus 1. So let's see here. K cubed minus 5k squared plus 1. That's going to be right here, actually the first one. So P is going in box 14. All right, we got one more blank to go. So between these 3 numbers, 4, 18, and 6, they're all even, so I can take out a 2. Can't do better than a 2. 4, actually, you can't even take a 4 out of anything except the 4. So let's take a 2 out. In terms of k's, we can take out a k squared because each of these have at least k to the second power. So looking at our first one, 4 divided by 2 is 4. K to the 4th over k squared is going to be k squared because of 4 minus 2. And then 18 divided by 2, that's giving me a 9. K cubed over k squared is just k. 3 minus 2 gives me a 1 for the exponent. For the last one, negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. K squareds cancel, so minus 3 at the end. And that's going to match up with answer choice W, so there's our last blank filled in. All right, let's solve this riddle. Where do tadpoles in the pawn shop come from? Looking down here, we have a F-O-R-M. Looks like that's all one word, from. I'm thinking is the next word there. And then frog, that's an easy one to pick out, given the context. From a frog pond. Oh, from a frog pond. Okay, it's a play on the word pond. Very nice. Till next time, Mr. Sutton's signing off.